Mark, and since I was a kid I struggled with homosexuality and serious identity issues. So I decided to build this sort of alter ego. I told everyone to call me Mr. Mark, and I just thought it was a cool name and it would grab people's attention. I figured that, I would go by this image, and if I had this image set up, that nobody would really look inside and know what was really going on with me. Growing up, I grew up in church, and I sort of became numb to the pastor and what he was saying every Sunday, and we would sing the same songs, and so I just became numb, and I figured nobody in church could help me. I mean, it doesn't really get talked about, so I just felt so alone. And I have a family who really loves me, and I'm the firstborn, so I sort of felt this pressure to do good and set a good example for my siblings. And so I just remember telling myself, like, I'm not really gay, like maybe it's just a phase, or it's something I need to snap out of. And so I just held it inside and I didn't tell anyone. I just knew that I had to keep this Mr. Mark image just flawless, so that no one could really see what was going on inside me. So I started dating this girl, and in the past I've dated other girls, but I never really took them seriously, except for this one girl. She was just different. She was so different that I ended up telling her that I struggled with homosexuality. Once I told her, I felt this sense of relief, and I don't know, I felt like everything was going to be alright now, so I continued to just be this Mr. Mark guy, that I was to everyone. And we continued dating for about 2 years. And during that 2-year time span, I actually became addicted to gay porn. And so I knew that was the end of it. Like, once I was doing that, I knew I couldn't be with my girlfriend anymore. So we broke up, and I told my parents that I was gay, and I just thought that was it. But God wouldn't give up on me. I mean, He had different plans, and I started going to a different church, not the church I grew up in, a different church, and I rededicated my life to God, and I ended up getting back with that girl, and we got engaged, and we got married. And I was convinced that I had made a complete turnaround in my life. But a year into our marriage, I just found myself still holding secrets, still, not taking my wife fully seriously, and not taking God seriously. And I just remember sitting down on the couch feeling so stuck. And so I was just left just feeling alone and stuck.
So when Mark first told me about what he struggled with, it was a little overwhelming, and it did kind of come out of left field. But I knew that the things that God had brought me through, and I knew that He was greater than all of this. So I trusted God more than anything, and I stood with Mark. We were together for 2 years, and throughout that time, I was sort of his outlet. He would talk to me about what he was struggling with, what he was going through, and I would just be there for him and pray for him and encourage him. And throughout that time, I started feeling really alone, because I felt like there was no one that I can talk to, that I was able to just vent to and tell about all this. After we had broken up, we got back together and got engaged, and our pastor at the time actually went through the marriage counseling with us, and he's the one that knew all our story before anyone did. And through it all, he was the one that was there for us, and he mentored us and counseled us and just walked through it all with us. And we ended up getting married, and we were married for a full year. And it was I still felt in myself that there was something that Mark wasn't fully letting go of, and that's when we totally hit a breaking point. We had to face something, and we just didn't know what it was, and that was that was the moment where we both knew this is either we're going to go our separate ways or we're going to stick this out together.
And so one day my wife invited two of her friends over, and these friends knew everything, so they knew our whole story. And they said, we'll support you. You have to face this whole thing. Honestly, just face it, And so they told me a few things that I could do. They were like, let's get to the root of this and find out when this all started and why. And they told me, that I needed to just confess everything and just repent and decide, if I'm really going to follow Jesus or not. And so I don't even know how, but I just remember confessing all these things. And I repented, and I decided that I was going to follow Jesus and that I was going to change from my ways. So since I decided to follow Jesus, I feel so much more free from everything. I don't feel like I'm holding any secrets, or I don't feel like, crazy things are going to start happening. Like, it's cool because I have a support system, and I'm so thankful for my wife who just stood by me through this whole time in my life, and I can freely talk about this now because I know it's over, and I know that I'm really gonna follow Jesus now, and I'm not gonna look back or try to keep things. I surrendered it all. I know that there's somebody out there who is struggling with homosexuality and maybe is so confused of who they are or what their purpose is in life, and I know that there's somebody out there who's just is all about themselves and has a big ego, and I'm just here to tell you that you don't have to live this way anymore, that there is hope, that God loves you so much, and He's the only one that can change you, and He's the only one that can free you. I mean, there's so much freedom in God that if you just lay it all down and just say, I'm done, I mean, that's all it takes. From that point on, your life will never be the same. I'm Mark.
And I'm Irene.
And this is our story. What's your story?